I don't even have no earrings on. Disclaimer. This is probably the absolute worst time for me to possibly go on and do a live for so many reasons. And I am still doing it. Number one, it is 9 a.m. ish in Rwanda, which means that most of my US listeners and viewers are asleep. Number two, I'm lethargic today. My mood is mooting and I'm and I'm hoping that me coming and saying this is going to kind of lift some of that burden off because I really do need to have a clear mind. Number three, May is Maying. May has always been like a crazy crucial month. It is in full May swing. Four, I always come in like la da 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 bubbly. Can you believe this? Da da da. And I'm kind of like, it is what it is. We out. It is what it is. So I am here to give an update about my construction journey, and I really wish, I really wish it was better than what it is. I really broke down a lot, I think, in the last one, and I did state that I started with one construction company, um, and they kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth, and still disappeared. And I went to another and I decided this weekend to cancel my contract with them. So I am always going to give an opportunity for people to say what they want to say. So if they want to come in and kind of give their piece of events, they can. What I am going to sit there and say is that I did create a contract. I did sit down and talk. So one of the issues is that I talked to everyone on the team except for the designer. The designer was not able to be there that day. He had a prior commitment, and the designer actually himself is very busy, which I learned the drama later. And so when I sat down with the team originally, I really felt really good. I felt like I was heard, I was understood. And then probably I have to say it was like 40 days later, when okay, so I did receive updates on my design, and I did receive kind of like these updates. One of the things that I want to precaution people who are building, who are foreigners, um, if you're building your home, cool, one thing. If you're building an investment property, you are held under the responsibilities through RDB to make sure that those measurements or whatever, or if there's a land use or anything, are upheld. Upheld, Jesus, upheld. That is your responsibility. And in our case, to me, when I was talking to the design and the designer team, they became more focused on building the design of what I asked and did not really keep in mind my responsibilities as an investor. So when I received certain conversations or things back, because I chose to do mine in phases, I had a phase one, a phase two, phase three. A lot of conversation would be like, that's a phase two thing. We'll worry about that later. That's a phase three thing. And so, one of the things that I did wrong that I recognize in hindsight is that I thought, because I am a person that kind of worked behind, that I could work from a big vision, but because of finances or whatever, let's focus in on phase one and really hone down phase one. What should have happened is we designed and I paid the money to design the entire project. And then from the entire project, then say, okay, we will focus in on this. So financially, I should have been ready. I'm going to kind of, because I think that's part of one of our miscommunications, to pay for the entire design and come backwards. Because of that, when the design did finally come to me, um, dimensions were way off for the price point that I gave. Mistake number two. I, from what I'm understanding now and I'm learning, I have a price point that I don't want to go over. And I'm really a stickler on that. From what I understand now, or what I have to kind of do forward, is allow the design to happen and then come back off the price point once you have the design, and doing that through materials, doing that through rescoping, doing that from whatever. Me turning around and saying that the price point was here and with the company that I worked with. And this is where my frustration is that I told them that I didn't want to go over 90 million for phase one. What happened is when the design came back to me, the design was in their price range, 180 million. And I was not pleased with that at all. And then what happened is their construction people said we gave the estimates per meter, which is like, design per square foot. They gave it per meter. So their design team designed it outside of the budget. And my biggest issue with them was y'all don't communicate. And that's really where everything boils down to why I left the team. I mean, left them is that, remember when I said that the designer wasn't there? Yeah, so I really was like, so if the designer wasn't there and I stated everything and I gave you a Google Drive with everything and everything's written in the Google Drive, that should have been communicated through you guys. And I asked specifically, so when did you guys meet about my project? And they could not give me an answer on that. So I was like, so this entire time the designer has been designing and going off whatever he feels is necessary, whatever. And so it all boiled down to the inability to communicate. And then it came back to me. And I felt like it started to be my responsibility to fix the communication because they were like, okay, we designed this. What do you want us to take off so it can meet the budget? And I was just like, that part for me shut me down. Like, ooh, tears about to come. That was like a conundrum. Like, y'all, I can only be good at so much. Like, God gave us a whole world. I did not study architecture design. I didn't study construction. Even when you tell me something is 10 by 10 meters, I have no clue how big that is. I literally have to go out with a meter stick and measure everything. So when you come to me and you tell me that you over designed on the meters and you want me to know where I need to take out rooms or anything else like that, I'm really looking at you in your expertise. Or what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have to start hiring, calling friends, and trying to figure out. And remember, I said May was crazy. I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the space. I don't have the energy. And that's not the fussing part of it is that if I am supposed to be that person, then I need to know and it was just the things that I've learned. So one, it was designed outside of my plot. Two, it was designed. I felt like the design of phase one would have got me into some significant trouble with RDB. Um, and I think it would got me into significant trouble with what I said as an investor because um, I didn't want to spend all of my investment on the offices and the servant quarters and our living space and then have to build 3 to 5 building spaces with if it was 180 like only 80 million like that's not an investment like that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be building housing community. And so it just wasn't fair. It wasn't evening out. And so very frustrated because the way that I did it, I walked away from that and paid for architect in full, did not pay the half down because I was just there and really, really walked away. So when I walked away, I remember that I said I was going to be transparent with this process. And so that's why I'm here to tell you guys that I am back at starting at zero. Nah, nada. Now, in the process of this, there were 2 construction companies that um, I had kind of on the back burner. Um, and I've called both of them. And the steps forward for both of them, I absolutely love. Um, one, I'm just so fearful that they are so expensive and not because anything, but they're phenomenal. But I'm just really fearful about how much it's going to cost because, like I said, I'm at a certain price range. For the second one, I've been talking to them a lot more. They actually took me to one of their sites that they built that is in the same mindset frame as the investor that I am in. So that kind of was like, whoo. And they're the ones that, to be honest with you, once again, kind of helped me start seeing these are the things because like when I was getting the design, I didn't know to check like the meters and stuff and like it was being built outside of whatever. And to be honest with you, it doesn't even fit one of the areas in the plot. Like So working with them has been, whew. So I'm hoping that I'm able to tell you another update. But here's what is going to happen. Number one, because of this, the goal originally was for me to break ground. I originally was supposed to break ground April. Ain't a ground broken. Then I was going to break ground June. Ain't a ground broken. Then July. Not near ground. I decided to pause on the idea of breaking ground until next year, which means that I will now have to build phase one and phase two together, which just makes me have mild financial headaches and heart attacks and stresses. Like, hey, I'm really coming up with this much money at one time. Where's the payment plan? God be a credit union, all that stuff, right? Um, Now, talking to somebody, they said I could possibly build in February. I hadn't made that decision yet, but I did decide because of everything that's happening and how I'm doing it. I am going to use June/July on design, and I am going to pay full price. I'm debating on paying full price to two companies and then picking the best design. And I also am coming off of, like, I hate saying it like this, like, we had a design in mind. Like, at this point, I don't care. I'm not being negative. Like, people be like, so do you want, this to be an island? Do you want it to be L shaped? I want to be able to live in it. I want people to live in it. I want people to live in it and pay the price point that we're trying to get them to pay. So right now, I don't care if it's facing north, south, east, west. Right now, I don't care about a sliding door versus wooden door. I don't care about windows that go up toward the side. I don't care about a cornerstone. I don't care about a brick wall. I don't really care. I am that exasperated in my head. I care about having a design that fits the investor requirement needs, that I can see a good return on my money, because that's another issue, and it be feasible, and it can hit all of the things that need to be hit, and I can provide a space that is comfortable, people want, and we have parking and we have all this other stuff. Like, I didn't think that asking for those things would be a headache. I did not, I never thought that I was a headachy type person in construction build. So, talking to, like I said, the new person, and if you want to have details, you can call me and I'll give you details on names and all that other stuff. I'm not getting on here and blasting people because it could have been my experience. And other people be like, well, they were great. And I'm not here to say if somebody was good or not. I'm here to say that my experience is, this is where we are and this is where I'm at in that design. Also, another piece in regarding to design is that I am very focal on, I want to be able, and I have to say it correctly, but I want to be able to utilize a lot of the design techniques that are already here in Rhonda. I am not trying to bring in new ideas. For instance, if you come to Rhonda, you do not see wooden floors. And I love me a strong wood floor, but we're not going to do wooden floors because of the humidity, people being able to do things, fixing all that other stuff. It's not cost effective always to be effective, efficient, cost efficient, to be so innovative that you're going to have to spend extra money to make something happen because of what you like. So I'm very, 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 very yes on, let's use our, and I want to say local resource materials because there's a lot of stuff that is still brought in from other places, but being able to use those techniques, the techniques that work, and not being such a trendsetter that it's a financial trendsetter. One of those reasons is why, because of the return. Like, being an investor, you have to understand a lot of stuff. Where I am putting this investment, where I live, has a cap on price point. We have a cap. In Kigali, there's not a cap. There are houses that are renting for $3,000 a month. There are spaces that are renting at a very high rate. That is not real out here. I have a cap. So because of this cap, I should not be putting in a high amount of money because I will not see that return for another 8 to 10 years. That's not the goal. I want to be able to stay here at this price point. It's not also about being cheap, it's about being smart. Stay at this price point of building so I can turn around and get that return. And I have to be able to market to like the clientele that I want. I know the clientele I want, and I also know like how much hotel rooms go for out here and what people are paying and all that other stuff. So I have to be intentional on that. And that's why I said right now I'm about to have all the headaches and heart attacks right now. Where's my blue blockers? Yeah. In doing that. So in updating about the construction update, thank you to everybody who shouted out Urukundo Hills. We're like, that's the positive me. We're still coming. We're still doing it. Baby, we trudging. Like it's still, we still, so it's like working out. I'm still in the gym. That's the miracle of stuff. I'm still in the gym. You might not catch me mid rep right now, but I ain't walked out. And it's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like. Well, maybe I will probably after this next month, and I'll give you that update and what the processes are going to be in the phases. But I did realize that's one thing, even though I was trying to take like this hands off approach and really just pay, and it can happen. I don't know. At this point in time, I have to rearrange my schedule, and I can't. There's other things happening. You guys will hear about it soon. But I can't rearrange my May, June, and July. I am slammed mentally. Like another, tears about to come. I talked about in my journal personal, like I feel like my brain is folding over on itself at times. There's so much that's happening. And I am trying to spend the time to save myself and save my mind and stay on top of things. And so there are a lot of adjustments that are happening. And these are all God sent. There's such a scream and a testimony on this. But in doing all that, I've learned so much about myself. And so the building in Yorkondo Hills is going to have to wait a year in order for me to let me stop. Let me stop. Whew, thank you, God. In order for me to honor the blessing you put into my life, I'm going to have to pause on the other blessings you have for me in my life. And that is not a pause because it's like I want to say it's a pregnant pause, but it's a pregnant because it still needs to grow. Thank you for the interest. Thank you for the rates. Thank you for the business. But we're going to go ahead and let Orokundo become something that goes through a pregnancy. And that means we have to go through different trimesters and different waiting. And we're going to know that it's there. We're going to pray on it. We're going to feed it. We're going to nurture it. But it's not quite time for it to be birthed. So, in order for us to keep moving, in order for me to keep moving in your will, I know that I have other things that I need to go ahead and work on now. And those things need all of me. John Legendage, all of me needs all of you. And I'm going to do that while the other piece is on pregnant pause because it is going to be a blessing as well. So that's my prayer. That was really it. So if you have questions or anything, to turn around and hit underneath the buttons. I am still trying to be as transparent as possible. I will let you know now, like not everything's hunky dory, not everything's this is it, and this is the blessing. This is, everything is what it is. Construction, no joke. Not in there. It's a job. It's a job. It's a job. Even looking for housing, job. Job. It's something you just can't take lightly. It's something you have to do. That's all I got for you. That's it. I can't hit the buttons correctly.